everyone, Module 10. This is going to be Exodus material and Egyptology. So the reading for this module is really coming from one source, and that's Hoffmeyer. He has an essay, These Things Happened, Why Historical Exodus is Essential for Theology. And the book that this is from is probably one you should get if you're really interested in issues of biblical historicity. Do historical matters matter to faith? I recommend that. The contributors to it are broadly evangelical, and I think it's fair to say, I don't know that all of them are. I'd have to look at the table of contents again, but I think that would be the case. But Hoffmeyer, again, is going to be arguing that, we can't just dismiss the Exodus as a historical event and sort of extrapolate it and make it about, some symbolic thing or memory that never really happened. But boy, it was a good idea, and we get to talk about deliverance from slavery and whatnot. He actually does a good job of rooting or of orienting the question in a different way. So what I'd like you to get here is just a sense of why it matters. And I'll give you a hint. It's going to matter for certain things in the New Testament. So let's take note of that as we read. Hoffmeyer's other piece, The Exodus and Wilderness Narratives. This is from Ancient Israel's History and Introduction to Issues and Sources. This is sort of a bit of a distillation. Notice the title, Exodus and Wilderness Narratives. This is one chapter that is essentially drawn from Hoffmeyer's larger body of work. He has two separate books on Israel and Egypt, and then a book on the wilderness wanderings where he goes through painstaking details from Egyptological sources. Hoffmeyer is an Egyptologist. That's what his PhD is in from Toronto. I think he's retired now. He just retired from Wheaton. It was either Wheaton or TEDS. I can't remember where he wound up his career. But he's an evangelical, but he is an Egyptologist, and he has a strong command of Egyptological literature and archaeology. So I want you to have the introduction for the sake of the class, and we're going to listen to some lecture material during the course about the Exodus and some of these issues that Hoffmeyer will bring up. But I want you to have the bonus material, the additional resources, not the stuff that's required. I photocopied a few chapters from Hoffmeyer's books only for this reason. The next time you run across someone on the internet or something on the internet that claims that there's no evidence from Egypt that Israel was ever there, or the Exodus story, there's no Egyptian evidence for that, okay, you just refer to Hoffmeyer, okay? Now, one thing I said last week in the class when it came to the patriarchal narratives with Kitchen stuff, I made the statement of what Kitchen is really trying to do. And I'm not going to remind you of the statement here because it's essentially what Hoffmeyer is trying to do too. And how he presents his data to the question of historicity. He knows, as Kitchen knows, that we don't have the mummy of Moses or something like that. We don't have that kind of direct evidence for the biblical content in this regard. But I would suggest that Hoffmeyer would say, and has proven, that we don't need that. We actually don't need it, because there's so much data that accomplishes what he's trying to get you to see. And again, I'm leaving the details out there. I want you to discern this. And you should be able to, based upon what I said in the Kitchen lecture. There is a preponderance of data that drives only one coherent conclusion when it comes to this. So I'll just leave it at that, but I want you to have Hoffmeyer's extra stuff just as reference material. But for the sake of the class, again, these two essays by him are sufficient to get us into the material.